Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is his insight. Secondly, it says not only did he grow in wisdom, he grew in stature. That word stature in the Greek, it means maturity. He grew in maturity in years and in size, age and stature. What it means is it's not only growing from a physical standpoint, but it means coming into an appropriate stage in your life. Go to how fit a stage. When you are 20 years, you don't behave like you are 7 years old. And then how 70, you should have done that when you were 15. So Jesus progressed in stature. He came into an appropriate stage of his life, watch, where he developed. The question is, are you developing in your potential as a person, or are you missing a stage? Paul says, I want to apprehend what Christ apprehended for me. He says, I'm not comparing myself with other people. The only comparison I'm making is when I put Christ here and I stand here. When God's expectation was for me to be so many meters tall, have I reached to that standard? See, it's easy to feel like you are moving on and you are succeeding when you compare yourself with other people. But it's another thing when you compare yourself with God's expectations for you. Hallelujah. So Jesus grew in stature. He came into the appropriate stage of his life where he developed. You develop as a leader, you develop as a parent, you develop as a child, you develop as a coach, and not only do you develop others as well. He grew. But then thirdly, it says, not only did he grow in wisdom and in stature, but it says he grew as well in favor with God and in favor with men. Now, on face value, we might be tempted to misunderstand that. That English word favor there can be very misleading because, we know God loved Jesus, God favored Jesus, but did people favor him? Because if you want to be honest, when you read the Bible, you know that Jesus wasn't liked by everybody. In fact, the religious world as a whole didn't like him. Church people. So when it says he grew in favor with men, is the Bible telling the truth? Yeah. We know, of course, he enjoyed favor with God. But after he started preaching, he wasn't always favored by people. Now it's up until you check what that word favor means in Greek. That word in Greek is the word charis. Write it down. And that word charis means grace. Grace. Or gifting. So Jesus grew in wisdom, in stature, and in gifting. Watch. It wasn't that everybody liked Jesus, but Jesus was gifted when it comes to dealing with people. He had the ability to understand and help people who come with all kinds of temperaments. And he knew how to have impact on people at all levels. He was able to help them as he was also exercising the gifts that God had given him. You see, the gifts that God has given you are meant to be a blessing to others. And you should be able to navigate those gifts. So when we talk about growing in wisdom and stature, I want to focus on this. How you and I can come into an appropriate stage in our life where we develop as a person, knowing what God has imparted in our lives, and therefore we can be able to impact other people. Tell your neighbor and say, I see you growing.